Hello, I'm Hilary Robertson and welcome to episode 71 of Harmonious World. This time I'm joined by Tim Chernikoff. Tim is based in New York City and his latest album is called Pieces of Sanity. The track you're listening to right now is I Got a Box, which is one of Tim's own compositions, and it features Tim on piano alongside Kenneth Salters on drums and Jacob Dreyer on bass. We had a great chat and I hope you enjoy listening to that conversation. Hello.
Hi.
Hi. Thank you for joining me on Harmonious World. This is great.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thanks. Great to join you.
Yeah. Is that a real piano or is that your background?
No, yes, this is an actual piano.
Wow, it's beautiful.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I was just was recently able to have it just as my axe.
Fantastic. And it makes all the difference, doesn't it? A good instrument.
Yes. Yeah, it's really, really great. Helps a lot to be able to get the music more clear.
Yes, indeed. Well, so can you talk to me about Pieces of Sanity and how the album came about? What was your inspiration?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, the album, the pieces from that, they're mostly original compositions, and there's a few reworkings of different things. So I spent a while writing the music. It took maybe some of these pieces were some of like the first sort of serious tunes that I tried to write, maybe all the way back in college, as far as back as maybe 2009 or something. And so they just kind of, they kind of evolved over time. I, just tried to take things and even sort of like grow them up as I kind of grew up, just musically and as a person. And yeah, they did kind of, and to me, they were somewhat, pieces of information of sort of like my, just things that kind of held me up, during the past decade or so. It all sort of like came together, and I worked it more into like a story, or sort of like a collection that was cohesive and, just all came together kind of in the right way to
Yeah,
me.
and it does. And so you've got Jacob Dreyer and Kenneth Salters with you on this album.
Yes.
Do you
Yeah.
work with them regularly, or is this something you put together just for the album?
Yeah. Yeah, we've both been working together in different capacities, and yeah, both met, out here in New York. So Ken, I played with a lot and, saw him around the clubs out here, and, just like played at random like jam sessions, in the city. And same thing with Jacob. And so we played on a lot of the times I kind of, bugged them to do a session or, or do a gig with me, and, they stuck with me, and Jacob spent like years practicing just my music with me duo. So we had a great, collaboration, and, before I was ready to get this stuff out there.
You talk about in the background to this album, you talk about this being part of your maturing and how you moved from the Bay Area to Texas and now obviously in New York City. What has that journey been like musically and emotionally, I guess?
It's been quite a challenge, and it's been obviously a lot of area for a lot of growth for me. Yeah, I grew up in the Bay Area, California, in the peninsula. So it was nestled in this kind of like, the tech, the utopia of like, like a Radiohead writes songs about it. It's like all these like, huge companies out there, that we grew up in, just around. So just a crazy kind of environment with that. Just like, I think, we have like huge expectations there in general. Like, people saying like, oh, it's a shame you only got into UCLA, uh, so that was like the beginning. And then I eventually, ended up going to college out in Texas, north in the Dallas Fort Worth area, North Texas University, which is, it's a huge jazz, school. It's actually like the first jazz school ever like formed in America at a public university. But yeah, so going from like just completely technological, area, like about innovation, then you go to Texas and it's just way different. People there, just different, just really like slow, and they just have a really different kind of outlook on life, I guess. Like it's almost like the opposite. It's just different, it's like there's good things about that, attitude of like not being in a hurry, but it can also be really just disorienting. So
Yeah. And then you spent 4 years in Texas and then moved to New York 10 years ago.
yeah, I think I'm coming up on that 10-year mark. So yeah, I came out here for school, for graduate school at Manhattan School of Music, which was great. It's a really great school to like come to the city for. It's just like immediately kind of encourages, just like artistic, like, explosion, like. And it's definitely a step up from anything like I even experienced, at the North Texas school, and in Silicon Valley, with some of the, definitely great stuff going on out there, but yeah, being around like Dave Liebman and that kind of school of thought, just like an amazing kind of explosion. And in a lot of ways it's kind of like no holds barred, in terms of just going for expression. The challenge is just sort of integrating into the city there, and trying to, make everything work for yourself. And just like dealing with being an adult, in the 21st century and all that kind of stuff. It's just like, I think it really throws you for a loop sometimes. I think we have a pretty interesting, culture, very like it's like the upside down culture and stuff, and you're trying to figure it out and navigate it. And I think the great thing about being able to make music, especially jazz, and improvised music, is that you can find a way to kind of speak about that, and to to speak your piece about it, and to try and just use it as a speaking vessel to make peace with it, and just really turn that even into something that's fun to play and get people together to play with. And everyone kind of has their own idea of it too, and it's like, if somebody can just like listen to something that I wrote and get something out of it, that's the best thing for me.
Yeah. What's your connection with William Sussman? Because obviously he introduced us for this, and so I've interviewed Bill a couple of times for this podcast. But what's your connection with him?
Yeah. Bill and I go back all the way to high school. Really, when he was like my biggest jazz teacher in high school. So he really just introduced me, to the craft of, the instrument, and just jazz. And, he has a great outlook, or sort of approach to it, because it's very kind of ground up, and he's very just like, he's absolutely, loves the tradition, and always like was into the tradition, and showing me the importance of that, amidst his sort of ground up method of just sort of like, here's a standard, and here's how you can play it, and then
Yeah.
just yeah, just kind of like grow from there. um yeah, and yeah, he's a very like, he's a great, just really kind person, and I was very lucky to study with him. um
Right. Yeah. He seems a very um, musically generous person.
yes, yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah. So you can't interview anybody right now without talking about what your experience has been like of the last 18 months, I guess. So how has it been for you?
Absolutely, yeah, it's definitely been crazy. And yeah, I mean, it's been very isolating, of course, and um it's been funny though. I mean, the immediate thing, that happened was just, especially in New York, just nobody was out. And I had actually just come back from a gig on a cruise ship, and so so it was sort of like stepping back into New York, and nobody was out, and I was like, wow, this is oddly peaceful,
Yeah.
just for a moment, like and, like, you can hear the birds, and it's just like, it's like a nice sort of spring, day. So, and that was nice, especially because when I got here from from the end of my like cruise ship contract, it was literally the last day. We flew back, the last day before the declaration by our president at the time to, Mr. Mr. Trump, to you know nobody can fly after this. So it was literally midnight of the night that of the day that we flew back was the cutoff. So we barely made it home.
Wow.
Yeah.
But you
Uh,
were lucky that you weren't actually out on a ship somewhere mid cruise, because I think those people had it much worse, didn't they?
yeah, I couldn't even imagine. I mean, it was like, it's scary enough just to, because we were actually doing a transatlantic um contract too, so it was like we were heading towards sort of more of the epicenter at that point. So
Wow.
yeah, um and yeah, so I couldn't even imagine what it would be like to be, I felt for it, because I saw some a few people I knew, from school and stuff, and they were out there for months. I just couldn't imagine that. I really like felt for them.
Yeah.
It's already like not always easy to be in that, life, just kind of like in a ship, stowed away.
Yeah. Yeah, indeed. And so is life getting back to normal a bit now?
Yeah, I definitely feel like it's a new normal. It's, in some ways, it's always been um similar, just I think in New York, it's like, it can be kind of like cramped anyways, like kind of, so um like I was already starting to do like a lot more, Zoom stuff, because I was on the ship, and trying to teach people there. So it's been easy for me, I'll say that. So I'm lucky in that respect. It's not too bad for me, and I feel relatively used to it. There's definitely moments where I get that, kind of cabin fever trepidation type of thing.
Yeah. Yeah. And have you got gigs coming up now?
Yeah, well, I'm definitely working on a date, well, what's something I have coming up? Um I'm doing some private stuff actually back in the Bay Area, just here and there, and keeping up with the students, and a lot of stuff is coming. Like I'm looking forward to it. I'm kind of like in the very embryonic stages of the whole release in a way. It's kind of slowly but surely building up there, and I definitely have some nice people starting to want to take a look and at the work and stuff. So I'm really, really grateful for that.
Well, brilliant. And let's hope that at some point you get to come over here, because we've now opened up so that people from America can actually come back to America, to the UK now, as long as you're double jabbed. So
that would be great. I mean, I'd love to definitely make the rounds out there. I got like a tiny taste of everything when you're in just like the like 7 hours I got to spend in Spain when I came over on the ship. So I already got a great great feel for.
Yeah. The best thing about being in Europe is there's so much on your doorstep. Yeah, you must come over and entertain us all.
Wow. Yeah, I'd love to do that.
Yeah. Well, brilliant. Thank you so much for your time, Tim. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And thank you for sending me the tracks, because I'll slot some of those in to the conversation.
Absolutely. It'd be great to kind of give people a sort of an exclusive taste somewhere. So
yeah. And it's not out. The album's out in middle of September. Is that right?
Yes. Yeah. It comes out the 24th. So it's still a little time. Yeah.
Brilliant. Okay. Well, thank you very much. I really appreciate your time.
Yeah. Thanks so much, Hillary.
Okay. Thanks. Bye.
See ya.
It was great to talk to Tim about his album, Pieces of Sanity, which, as he says, is out on the 24th of September. I hope you enjoyed listening to my conversation with Tim. It's really nice. I love the way that people's personalities come across, their different characters come across in these conversations. As always, please do check out Tim's music, and the links are in the show notes. If you enjoyed listening to this episode, please do check back on some of my past episodes. Feel free to share, rate, review wherever you get your podcasts. What you're listening to now is Room for One More from Tim's album Pieces of Sanity. I hope you enjoy listening to this, and I really hope you have a great week. Thank you for listening to the latest episode of Harmonious World. My name is Hilary Seabrook, and it's a great delight to bring this series of discussions with musicians and composers and writers and all sorts of people to you. Obviously, there's no point in having a podcast if people aren't listening, and I'm very grateful to my listeners for doing so. Thanks also to Joe English for composing and performing this new theme tune. So wherever you get your podcast, you can leave a review. You can share this with your friends and family, either as a link or on social media and that sort of thing. I'd be really grateful for that. Don't forget that you can subscribe now. There's a link wherever you get your podcasts. So have a great week, and please remember why I started this, which is just to try and make the world a little more harmonious. Thanks for listening to Harmonious World.